Welcome to this week's episode of the Bob and Ron Show. It is Tuesday, October 26th. I'm Bob.
And I'm Dad.
This week, Ron is out of the studio. He's out of town doing a little field research for Game 1 of the World Series. Maybe in San Francisco, maybe in Texas. To tell you the truth, I don't know. So Ned is filling in for him. He's my trusty assistant this week. And we're going to get right into the Bob Down and tell you guys what's on tap for today. We're going to be talking about the Wings a little bit, a little Tigers off-season info, talk about the Michigan State Spartans' triumphant victory against Northwestern Wildcats on Saturday, and lastly, we will be having a little bit of a World Series preview. So, Ned, what do you say we dive right into this pool of fun and start out with the Red Wings? They had a good week this week. A couple victories, one versus Calgary and one at Anaheim on Saturday. What'd you think?
Oh, he looked really good in both games. You know, goalie did good.
Yeah, you know, Jimmy Howard looked great, I have to say. But the big thing was 4-2 victory for me. Henrik Zetterberg got a couple points there on Thursday night, which I love to see. And then he came back with another 4 points on Saturday versus Anaheim. And he's been lighting it up this year. And same with Johan Franzen. The guy had a goal in each game. He's got 5 goals now in the season. And it's good to see these big-name players finally coming through for the Wings. Ned?
Do you think it's going to transition into the regular season, or do you think it's going to, you know?
Yeah, I do. I think that they're going to stick around and stay in this. Obviously people streak and fall down, and you got your roller coaster ride throughout the season. But I think that that they are going to keep it up this year. It's just a gut feeling on me. I have no stats or reasons to back that up. It's something from Bob's crystal ball, and I got to say, I also like Jimmy Howard this week. He picked up the win in both the games, looked great, and this team's really clicking. They're 5-1-1 on the season, which is good for second in the Central Division. So, I mean, Nashville's still undefeated, but we have this week on Saturday, on Halloween Eve, a matchup against Nashville, which could set up a little early season rivalry going on here in the Central Division.
Oh, absolutely, it could happen.
And do you think it will?
Well, I don't really watch hockey too much. It's not really my forte. But, from what I've seen of them this year, I think they looked pretty good. And each game was a win this past week.
Nat, I appreciate the honesty. The fans do as well. And, we got to say, it's going to be a fun week, I got to say, being a Wings fan or not a Wings fan. Thursday night, they have a rematch versus Phoenix, which is a first-round match from last year's playoffs. So that should be exciting as well. So, anyways, that about does it for the Wings today. Let's move right on to the Detroit Tigers. A little off-season news this week. They re-signed Brandon Inge on a 2-year, $11.5 million deal. I loved it.
Oh, I liked it too a lot. I think Inge is a great utility player. I mean, he's proved it from several years of playing, anything from catcher to outfield to third base to shortstop. He's a great player, and he's a great, locker room guy. And anytime you can get that in your system, it just helps you too.
The fans love him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing. A lot of people, with Inge, it's either you love him or you hate him. And, I know people that love him, and I know people that hate him.
Yeah.
But I think the overall consensus here in Metro Detroit is a big old smiley face that Brandon Inge will be patrolling the hot corner for this club for the next few years. This also has an option for a third-year season as well. So I think that'll be, if he can continue, a high level of play, then, they'll bring him back for a third year. But he led the American League in fielding percentage with 97.7 this past year, and that's sexy.
Oh, absolutely. And every year that Brandon Inge is in there, there's an opportunity for him to potentially earn a Golden Glove at third base. And whenever you have that guy on defense, it's just a win-win for your team. And, his batting numbers aren't exactly what you would really call all-star material, but the fact of the matter is every single year he comes out and he produces, and he earns his Tiger stripes.
Yes, he does. I'll tell you, he's earned quite a few of them over the years. And, we'll see if he can keep those sporadic power moments going on. And, he will. He'll contribute greatly to this club. Hopefully they can put together, a more well-rounded season as a team coming up. But,
And as you and Ron alluded to last week, the cap that we have available, in the upcoming offseason, what is it, almost $50 million.
Yeah.
There's some key free agents that are going to be available. And, the Tigers are looking at, I would say a couple more pitchers, quality starting pitchers that they could get their hands on. There's Cliff Lee that could be an option.
Now, see, to me, I think Lee might be a little bit overpriced because you're going to get those higher market teams. Like your Yankees, your Red Sox, your Phillies, your Rangers. Maybe they'll keep him around. But This week I heard a rumor, as I discussed you earlier this week, that Zach Greinke may be an option for this team, and as he's been terrorizing the Central Division for the past few years, I mean, I would love to see him be on my team.
Oh, absolutely. And Greinke 2 years back was a Cy Young Award winner, but this past year he got no run support in the games that he actually pitched extremely well. There was one game that I can remember. He had a 14 strikeout game. Eventually lost that game 2-1 because
I mean, how does that happen?
How
does that happen?
Don't know. Well, he ended up exiting the game in the seventh inning, and reliefs came on.
Yeah.
The Royals had a terrible relief in the bullpen, and with below average, below par.
Yeah, the Royals unfortunately don't perform much like royalty when it comes to baseball.
Cheers.
Anyway, moving on. I think that about does it. Oh yeah, that's great. Just brewed a fresh 2 minutes ago, but yeah, I got to say, Ned, coming into this weekend of sports, let's move outside the Tigers and let's talk a little bit about something right here.
Let's get to football.
Michigan State Spartans getting down and dirty versus Northwestern Wildcats this weekend at Northwestern in old Evansville, Illinois. And I gotta say, they showed me a little something in that second half called the chutzpah.
Oh, the chutzpah. Absolutely, the chutzpah is looking good for Michigan State all year long. I mean, how many games has it been that we've come back in the second half?
It's been quite a few, and there's been games that most people have said, okay, if they're a real team, if they're a contender, they're going to go out and they're going to blow them out. But that's not always the case. The Big Ten, in my opinion, is an extremely underrated conference.
Oh, absolutely.
And to me, the fact that they are coming back when they're out of these games, statistically, coming back in the second half. They had a 17-point comeback. 21 points scored in the fourth quarter this week. That shows a lot more about the character of your football team than a 45-0 victory.
Oh, it just shows the change of complexion that D'Antonio has brought to this MSU team. Previous years, MSU would go into the game, with a lot of momentum, end the first half with a lead, and they give it up in the second half, and that's the kind of the coaching,
Yeah,
he's doing great.
Yeah,
doing great.
He is. Whether it's in the press box, down on the field, you can tell this coaching staff is really getting involved with the team. You saw Narduzzi, the defensive coordinator, come down from the press box onto the field to kind of kick his team in the behind to really get going versus Northwestern. I thought that was good because that really showed that the players can respond to the coaches. And
absolutely. They're buying into whatever they're selling, and they're doing a great job at it. 8-0 going into Iowa. I mean, if they can have a good game against Iowa and they can establish the run like they did at the beginning of the season, I know the last few weeks it's kind of been off, but if they can establish that run, it'd be a good thing. But the one thing that I'm afraid about is the fact that we're going against Adrian Claiborne, and that defensive line for Iowa is no joke. It's one of the best defensive lines in the entire Big Ten, if not the entire country.
Yeah, which is going to be hard. It's going to be hard for Michigan State to establish the run, as it has been versus Illinois and versus Northwestern, who both, they got middle-of-the-road defenses, but nothing compared to what they're going to see this week in Iowa. But one thing that I really like to see this week, personally, is that Kirk Cousins in the passing game can come through when the running game isn't going on. Now, State has 3 great running backs. You have Caper, you got Baker, and you got Bell.
Yep.
But the thing is that when those guys, they a little bit average, I guess, this week. Nothing that's going to jump out at you. But Kirk Cousins said, okay, if you guys aren't going to do this, I'm going to take this team on my back and carry you guys over the hill, and we're going to get a W this week because I almost got a little carried away there. Sorry, fans. But I got to say, it was great. The guy was 29 for 43, tossing 331 yards and 3 TDs. I mean, Are you kidding me? Those are all-star type numbers, even though there is no such thing as an all-star. So I guess I should say an All-American, and it was just wonderful. You got Cunningham with that great one-handed go-ahead touchdown, and Mark Dell had a great game too. 9 catches for 109 and 2 TDs.
109 and 2 Ds. Yes, absolutely. It was a great game. The defense looked stout in the second half, and that continues to be the story for the Michigan State team this year.
Yeah,
the fact that coming in, there was a ton of question marks about their defense, but the fact of the matter is, every single week they come out and produce, and they're doing a great job turning the ball over, getting pressure on the quarterback, and even though, what was Northwestern's quarterback name?
Persa.
Persa, thank you. Even though Persa, ran the ball around, he did a good job. I mean, they still got the win.
Yeah, Persa was tough. He was really hard. They did. I think they did a better job containing Denard Robinson than they did Persa this week. The guy ran for 3 touchdowns, had quite a few pretty big gains for first downs.
Yep.
But the real thing, I mean, to me is, they're staying in these games. And when they needed the clutch third down stop, they got it. So it's good to see them playing a little bit under the pressure, which was great. And I got to say that fake punt call.
Excellent call. And the fact that
that's pretty tasty.
Tasty. The thing is, I mean, you look at how the play actually evolved, and there was people screaming for the fact that they should have gone for it in the first place, and then they took that penalty for a delay of game, which sent them back another 5 yards, and then when that happened, everybody thought, they're going to punt it. There's no way they're going to go for it. They're out of field goal range, which that could have gotten Northwestern head coach's mind. He thought to himself, let's just
that coach really just
great call. Yeah, he was a jerk.
Yeah,
I didn't like him.
Anyways, well,
let's not talk. Anyways, great call.
Wonderful
call.
So anyways,
ballsy
to say the least. Man.
Yes, excuse me.
It's okay. Anyways, I think that about does it on the State Northwestern wrap up. We
Yep.
pretty much hit everything. But what I got to say now, World Series time.
Series. Getting excited tomorrow is the first game in the World Series, and as he didn't know earlier, it's going to be at the Giants Stadium because the Giants. The NL won the All-Star game.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry. Okay, continue.
Home field advantage for the Giants.
Home field advantage. So it will be Tim Lincecum on the mound against Cliff Lee. And the one thing that I was going to talk to you about that worries me is the fact that Cliff Lee only had 1 start against the Yankees, so he's going to be well rested. He's going to be ready to go tomorrow, and he's going to be facing Lincecum, who actually had 2 starts against the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, bottom line, though, is that these are the aces of their respective clubs.
Oh, absolutely.
Every time these guys take the hill, they're ready to go.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Lee might be a little more rested, but Lincecum's a gamer.
Oh, he's going to be ready to go. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's a World Series. If that doesn't get you jacked up, what's going to?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Mountain Dew and cocaine.
I'm not positive. I think that would probably come across on the MLB abandoned. What's that called?
No. They actually just legalized them.
Okay.
Anyways, but let's get back to that whole pitching conversation.
I mean, first of all, before we get into the World Series, I need to give a shout out to Ron, who's absent from the studio.
Ron,
we miss you, man. But what I got to say is, you correctly predicted both games or both series leading up to the World Series. I said Philly. And I said Texas in 7. Ron was a little more bold, and he said San Francisco was going to get it done. Mm-hmm. They did. He said Texas was going to get it done quicker, and they did. So we got to give mad props out to Ron. That's why he's out on the field now, reporting live for the Bob and Ron Show, getting the insight on these fans.
He is. He looked good today too.
Oh God, he did.
Talked to him via webcam. He's ready.
Oh, he is.
Good prediction. Solid prediction. I wanted the Giants and the Rangers to get in the World Series because personally, I hate the Yankees and I hate the Phillies, so I'm glad to see this happen.
I hate the Yankees. I am about, so-so on the Phillies. But
I'm not a big fan of Philadelphia in general. Sports fans.
Well, if you've ever heard the song Philadelphia by a recording artist named Neil Young, you will be a fan of that city because that is one of the most beautiful ballads I've ever heard.
You know what it's all about for me? Detroit, Rock City, Kiss, Detroit.
Okay, well, unfortunately, they're not in the World Series, so let's get back to business here. What's your prediction on the series?
I'm going to go with the Rangers just based on the fact that, Texas and San Francisco have proven in the past that both pitching is very solid. But the fact of the matter remains, the Giants didn't have a single batter this entire season that posted over 100 RBIs. And actually, the only player on their team that posted over a 300 average was a rookie. And so it's going to come down to me to who has a better job batting. And the fact that
you got guys like Vladimir Guerrero and Josh Hamilton.
Absolutely. And if you look at that, one of the most productive run-scoring teams in the entire league, the Yankees, were beat and almost doubled. Yeah. It was 38 to 19 run production in the last series.
To me, that says it all. I agree. I say Texas takes it in 5.
I'm going to go with Texas in 6. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
Well, you heard it here first.
Doesn't matter.
That's what we're saying. But that about does it for the time here in part 1. Join us for segment 2 of this week's show for some football talk. We'll see you fans in a few.